What is up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours nonstop MLB DFS conversation starts right now. I say 2+ hours, right? Because I think 7:10 is our first pitch. Kind of a baby slate. It's Goldilocks. If it was 8 games in the NBA, we'd love it. It's an 8-gamer on both DK and FanDuel. We're not including the early Texas-Baltimore game. Happy Monday. Do hit that like button. Subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Do all those things. Help us keep the lights on. I said happy Monday. Happy Movie Monday. It is a happy movie Monday. You get yourself a week free of RG Premium. You tell me what movie I'm talking about. We'll be dropping those clues momentarily. About one every 10 minutes or so. Chop's going to be playing his own game and our own little side conversation. Chop, happy Monday. How are things?
Things are there, Dean. We're on a Monday, June the 23rd. 6 days. What's today? Monday, June the 23rd. 6 days from now, Dean, Beyonce's in Houston at the NRG Stadium. So,
you going?
Yeah. My kids are going.
I don't like crowds.
Kids are going. Yeah. Let them go. They want to have some fun, so let them go. Let them knock it out. But yeah, I'm Monday. I don't mind Mondays rolling around this time of year. Like weekends are kind of boring, man. You know. They spread out the baseball games so much, weird slates. They should get back to some normalcy on Monday. So I don't mind Monday.
Yeah, no more basketball anymore, obviously. You mentioned, Beyonce, that's her hometown, Houston. So the crowd will be especially amped for that one. I know you have some thoughts. I assume you have some thoughts as far as basketball last night, and not just the basketball on the court, but off the court. I don't know why they're letting trades go through it, and then the day with the biggest games going on ever in the for the season. But yeah, Kevin Durant, nobody really wanted to spend a lot for him. It appeared like your Rockets gave enough. My Heat were like, you know what, we can't. Haywood Highsmith, no. Haywood Highsmith, no, he is staying here. Haywood Highsmith, 28-year-old Haywood Highsmith, undrafted Haywood. Nikola Jovic, this is all the reports, and apparently Miami had no interest in getting rid of those guys for Durant. And it's like, well, why are you even having the conversation? And you got rid of Dylan Brooks. You must have been excited about that. Dylan Brooks.
Doesn't that remind you of back in the day when the Lakers were trying to find a third star and they wouldn't trade Taylor Horton-Tucker?
Oh yeah, THT. He's the future. He became one of the worst players in the league. So shout out to your Rockets, Chop. What is your reaction? You got rid of Jalen Green, which he's kind of redundant in that team, so I don't really think it's a big loss for you, honestly. And you have Whitmore just waiting right there to get some minutes, get some run. I think it's an awesome trade for you guys, to be honest.
I like it. I like it a lot. I wasn't in when they started talking, throwing around like Phoenix getting all their draft picks back and plus young talent, and I wasn't really into it then because he probably only has about 2 more years left of like really top level scoring kind of stuff. And so wasn't in on that. But I'm in on this, Dean, because first of all, 2nd-round picks, like literally, who cares? Those aren't even guaranteed contracts. That's just garbage. The number 10 pick, if you draft well, that's a role player.
There's value there.
Yeah, that's a role player if you draft well. But then even if you draft well with this team, where's that role player going to spend the next 2 or 3 years? Probably in, not on the big roster, probably down in the minor leagues. Dylan Brooks, appreciate his time in Houston, but aside from the personal stuff we got going on, the personal beef I got with him, just from a basketball standpoint, you got KD now. You don't need Dylan Brooks, man. Defensive guy, and he kind of lost the defense, whatever. And Jalen Green, love him, love his highlight dunks. Hate to see him go, but I think we kind of know what he is as a basketball player moving forward. And it's fine for the regular season. He'll put up some good numbers if you give him enough minutes and usage, but let's get a playoff guy in here, man. So I'm ready for it. I do like this trade.
And it opened up more minutes for guys like Whitmore. Houston was one of the better benches that just even their former lottery picks weren't getting any run. Jalen Green certainly feels like a guy that's averages 28 points per game on a really bad basketball team, and that might happen this year coming up. We'll see with Phoenix. Poor Devin Booker, I suppose.
Yeah, we don't know what the plans are with Booker moving forward. Who knows, man? They may be they may need to try to get something out of him. Also, Dina, under the radar, I'm really stoked that a couple of the guys, especially Jabari Smith and Amin Thompson, get to hang around day in and day out with Kevin Durant now and see how he
Yeah.
practices at 17 years in the league. They don't know that. They haven't had veteran leadership on this team, like that.
Steven Adams.
Yeah, he's not, but Steven Adams can't teach you how to do it, that fadeaway jumper, get the ball at the top of the key and make you move. Like Durant's going to show him every day. So I'm happy for that, man.
Jeff Green.
Yeah, I'm stoked to see how this plays out moving forward. But, I agree with you, man. Why are we even doing trades on the day of Game 7 of the NBA Finals?
You can't let them go through. Yeah, you got to give it a day or so, like a 48-hour window or something like that. Do want to shout out Joe in the chat. Joe hit for 10K yesterday. Thank you, SimLabs. Took down the rally on FanDuel. So shout out to Joe. There you go. That's the big contest over there on FanDuel. TJ's making his own Toronto trades. I've told TJ before he doesn't like it, but Toronto's spent $400 million on basically the number 8 spot going forward to the Eastern Conference. Good luck with that. Pirtle, Grady Dick, RJ Barrett. I assume Phoenix says no, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right. It's just a bummer for Halliburton. You mentioned it's kind of the story with the Durant. He had the Achilles. Halliburton, of course, had the Achilles. The East, there's blood in the water in the East. The East is wide open, man. It is wide open at least for a year, and that's why Giannis isn't going anywhere. Milwaukee's like, well, screw it. We'll go to battle with Giannis whatever nonsense he drags with him. They got a puncher's chance, right? Because the East is just so down. We'll see. We'll talk about plenty of time to have basketball conversations going forward, but it'll be a really interesting offseason. And just, they won't come out and say it. They're like, all these injuries, they're playing too many games. They're playing too many games. Make it 70 games, and that's it. There's your solution. And, you got to take away a bunch of money, and that's what nobody wants to do. They want to get rid of 12% of their salaries and, income and all that kind of stuff. All the games they're going to be losing. All right, I'll get off my soapbox here as far as basketball. Shout out to the OKC Thunder. Shout out to the Pacers, too. Valiant effort. Just amazing. Amazing run. Spectacular. And they were right there for at least the first half, despite Halliburton getting hurt. Movie Monday. First clue for Movie Monday would be it's going to be scrolling in just a second, invisible. Our first clue is invisible. All right. Yeah, again, jump in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord, live stream chat. Get yourself a week free of RG Premium if you're the first person to tell me what movie I'm talking about. And, I mentioned this in your pre-show, Chop. I'm kind of throwing my hands up on this slate. It's an 8-gamer. Normally I have okay, I'm going to attack from this, and then I'll kind of figure out here, and I'll throw some darts there. I don't really love any of the pitching. There's a bunch of stacks I'd like, but none that I think are amazing. There's 2 teams that barely have a total above 5. Arizona being one of them, the Yankees being the other. Yankees, of course, they're in Cincinnati against Lodolo. Great ballpark. Awesome ballpark for homers. It's hot. That's kind of a theme, last couple days. By the way, no Corbin Carroll again for Arizona. Perdomo's leading off for the D-backs. Perdomo, Marte, Smith jumping up to the 3 spot. Naylor, Suarez, Gurriel, Grichuk, Thomas, and still the Herrera, the backup catcher, because I think Montero might be dinged. Again, a lot of team totals in the 4s, a lot of heat. I'll drop Ross weather report. As far as rain, as far as precipitation, that is not an issue, but heat is definitely a theme. If you pull up Weather Edge, there are several spots that have the fire emoji. Good ballpark environment. It's never great to hit baseballs for the Mets, but Met Stadium, City Field. But getting a boost there, it's going to be about 90 or so as far as the temp. It's going to be the 90s in Cincinnati. Wind is blowing out pretty strong in Minnesota. Nice boost there as far as homers historically in a 27-game sample, 41% bump. Chicago, unfortunately, the Cubs, like Rolf was saying, it would have been amazing today for the Cubs. Still pretty good for the White Sox. It's 94 for the White Sox-Arizona game. 90s in St. Louis. That the Cubs are going from one heat spot to another heat spot. So, good hitting environments. No really great pitchers, especially from strikeouts, right? Our biggest strikeout guy in the slate, it's Ben Brown at 27.3%, Lodolo at 25%, Schwellenbach at 25%, Ober at 24%. No elite strikeout pitcher. They're still kind of expensive if you want to spend up for, Schwellenbach or Wu. Wu's, very efficient, doesn't walk anybody, 4.9%. But the K's like not spectacular, almost 23%. I don't know where to start on this slate, Chop. I'm curious your overview. It's just wide open. This is the most wide open slate I can remember this season for me.
You know how wide open this slate is, Dean? I'm going to tell you how wide open this slate is, Dean. You want to know how wide open? You're supposed to say, how wide open is this slate?
How wide open is it?
I'm actually scouring the internet, waiting for Milwaukee to figure out if they're going to start with their roof closed or open tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Because it means that much to pitching and hitting tonight on this slate, because it's so like peculiar here.
What'd you come up with? Did you get any anything as far as the roof there? Is it Miller Park? It's not Miller Park anymore. What is it called? Like Great American Rate or something?
American Family Field.
Okay, yeah.
So here's the thing, Dean. It's hot, right? It's really hot in Milwaukee. So you think, well, close the roof, get some AC, and we're not the roof closed. Here's the thing about American Family Field. There are certain pockets of the stadium that don't have air conditioning, Dean. So on hot days, they actually want to have the roof open, or else it creates like a sauna effect in there when it's hot enough. So they want the roof open on hot days, which is counterintuitive to most. But there's also a slight chance of we get some rain tonight in Milwaukee. So maybe they start with it closed just to make sure they don't get rained on. So it's up in the air. I haven't seen a decisive, verdict on that yet. So we're waiting on that, because if that roof is open and that weather is allowed to play a big part, man, you take two pitchers and it makes it even more difficult for those guys. And those guys were in play, partially at least. And then the hitters are in play. You close that roof, the pitchers become more in play now, and the hitters take a step back. So I'm actually curious to see how that plays out. But it's a tough slate, man, dealing with all the weather across all these games and how it's going to affect offense, and then trying to find pitchers. This is one of the worst 8-game slates for like raw talent on pitchers you'll see all year.
Brutal.
Yeah, it's just one of those, man. It was addressed multiple times in the survey this morning. You just kind of like, it's not going to be hard to get different tonight on your teams, because nobody knows what the hell to play, except for just don't do Schwellenbach combined with Brian Wu as your starting pitchers on DraftKings. That'll be a chalky set right there. Other than that, you're going to be different. So we'll figure that out along the way here.
So do we trust Mr. Irrelevant in chat? He said just called the roof hotline. They're saying it's open. I'm pretty sure there is a hotline to call for Milwaukee. I think that's a thing. So do we do we trust that information? Mr. Irrelevant, I think we could trust, right? What do you think?
If only we had a weatherman dedicated to RG that could come in and tell us anything right now. If only we had that guy on the payroll.
Well, I think there's something came up, and maybe Roth will give us an update in the article. I suppose that's possible. By the way, my apologies. The lawn guy, they timed it just right. Wait, you're starting the show right now? Okay, fire him up. Fire him up. Here we go. I don't know if you're hearing the lawn stuff in the background, but yeah, perfect timing. Hopefully it'll simmer down.
I used to do that in my first job when I was 16.
Oh my God.
I used to I think I've told this before. I worked at a outdoor musical, and one of the tasks I had, because I was the only one who owned the truck, I did the mosquito machine, which it was a trailer and a mosquito machine on the trailer, and you hook it up to your truck, and you just drive it around the park during the daytime before anybody got there for spray for mosquitoes. Man, I used to wait till those people fell asleep, because they would stay up all night rehearsing and doing. I'd wait till they fall asleep, and I'd fire that son of a bitch. It was loud, and it was much louder than your weed eaters in the background. And I used to wake, and they would complain, but I didn't care.
I want to. I have more questions about this, but I want to hear about everybody's first job in chat. My first job was delivering, and now this is in the sweltering heat and the summer heat in South Florida with humidity. I would deliver flyers door to door, which is just oh my! I don't recommend that. Do not do that. That was miserable. And of course, you don't get paid anything. You're like 15 or 14 or whatever I was. But yeah, delivering flyers door to door. It's the old Mitch Hedberg joke. He said that was his job as well, and he had to go to 2,000 doors or one dumpster. I didn't have the delivery, of course, of the great Mitch Hedberg. You a Mitch Hedberg guy, Chop? Yes, maybe you're aware of Mitch.
He was funny.
Yeah, I could see you appreciating his.
He had a shtick.
Yeah, well, I think it was too authentic, which is kind of the problem. But yeah, you definitely did have a shtick. TJ says his first job. Let's see, McDonald's, paid by parents, friends. Oh, wait, McDonald's. Okay, yeah, I guess that's the chalk, right? Or some kind of a Dairy Queen. There you go. Yeah, everybody's throwing out there. Give me your Mitch Hedberg jokes in chat as well, too. I appreciate it. All right, gas pumper. Yeah, you know it's a thing. It's New Jersey, and I think is it Oregon? There's like 2 states where you're not allowed to legally pump your own gas because I guess it's like union jobs or something like that. And I guess they stopped doing that. People would be fired. I don't know, but yeah, there's a couple states. I think New Jersey is one of them. Obviously, maybe it's Oregon. I think there's another one. Yes, Oregon as well, where you're not allowed to pump your own gas. Fun facts. The things you learn on this show, Chop. Taking a peek at the Discord, by the way, has anybody got the correct answer just yet and won? We had somebody binking and won on Friday, and I was tilted all weekend. I was very upset. Somebody else guessed your guess, Chop. Now you see me. I think there's a third one coming out. Who's demanding these movies? They're fine.
Oh, I'm going to watch that one, Dean.
I'll watch it, but they're kind of silly. But yeah, it's a fun cast. I like it. I'm a sucker for Magic, so I watch the Oz stuff too, and I want to try to figure out how he does it, but it's probably something super simple and not as interesting when you know the trick, obviously. It is not Hollow Man, but that is a good guess as well, or Argo or Ghost. Ghost, another good guess. But we'll drop a second clue here momentarily. Let's go ahead and drop the second one. Let's wet the beak. We'll talk a little bit as far as the screenshot in the slate. Clue number 2 is James. Invisible and James. Get in that Discord channel. Win yourself week free of RG Premium. 8-game slate tonight, Chop. Looking at the projections for pitchers, this is on DK, obviously different scale, different point value. Wu is projected for 17.25 median points. Swellenbach 16 and change, and then everybody else is just like in the teens. Like mostly everybody else is like somewhere between 15 and 11 or 10. If there's gas cans, I don't even know if there's anybody that's a gas can like Blackburn, but Ashcraft. There's really no this is the worst pitcher, but there's nobody great. A bunch of guys in the middle. Like if you look at Sierras, the worst Sierra in the slate is Kohanowitz at 4.7, Parker 4.44. Nobody spectacular. Swellenbach 3.34. He's been good. Brown's been unlucky. Lots of Ks as well. Tough environment there in St. Louis, at least tougher than it typically is. Again, it's just a lot of stuff today in the middle. Ownership wise, we kind of referenced I guess you're going to have the salary. You can have the salary depending on how you're building stuff. Wu is coming in at 40%. 9.6 is the asking price in Minnesota. He's a 22% strikeout guy, 23. Schwellenbach at 26%. Chad Patrick. This Pittsburgh team is terrible. It's cruising and a bunch of nonsense. Brown seems like an interesting SB2. Erod takes on the White Sox, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're a complete pushover. This is like all stuff in the teens. Again, ownership is kind of throwing its hands up too, outside of Wu and Schwellenbach. And I guess Chad Patrick is the one that's elevating because mostly I think is the matchup there against Pittsburgh as the Pirates are terrible. Do you have a definitive path? Are you still kind of debating back and forth? When you're building lineups tonight, are you first saying, let me build out these stacks and see what pitchers are left? Or you're first starting with your pitchers? Who's like the first person or the first stack you put in your lineup? Is it a pitcher? If it is a pitcher, who is that pitcher?
I don't know. I haven't figured out. I haven't even begun to build lineup. I got to see some more. I got to see some more lineups roll in first before I start thinking about building lineups. But I agree with what you said about the pitching for the most part here. On the surface, I think it would. I'm gonna play probably either Wu or Schwellenbach would be the first one in either or. I got to figure out which one of those guys, and that's only mainly because I don't know that I can trust two guys other than that. At least that takes up one spot. How am I going to do two guys outside of those two. Like I'm having a hard time finding one guy outside, and I don't want to be chalky and play both those guys. So I would imagine one of those guys goes in first. Right now, I would lean Woo because the Mets are like in a very good offense, and I don't know that I want to play around and work against that too much. But yeah, I guess it would be Woo first, but don't hold me to that when I actually build. And then I'd fill in with a cheaper, less chalky option at SP2. There's a few of them out there, so that's what we got to figure out.
By the way, no Hoskins for Milwaukee. Different catcher for the Angels. They're both pretty good. Darno and Ohapi is not playing. Ohapi is
crazy.
Out.
Ohapi's so good, man.
They have a really good tandem. I think just hitting. I don't know what they are as far as catching and framing and things like that, but just as a batting tandem, they're pretty good. Spidey Bomb, by the way, if you keep hitting those likes, we'll get more Spidey Bombs. The first one is PCA at plus 650. That is a big boy total. Of course, that's left on left versus Liberator. So a little bit tricky. PCA not spectacular, versus lefties, but that is a big number. And again, the wind is blowing out. It is blowing to left field for what it's worth, so probably a little better for righty power. Suzuki, by the way. Suzuki, I don't know if you've seen his numbers this year versus lefties. He's been one of the best hitters in all baseball versus lefties. One of my favorite hitters on the slate. Wait, is TJ correcting me? Am I wrong about PCA not being great versus lefties? I feel like I know he strikes out a lot versus them. Let me just okay. Well, 238 ISO. The WOBA was bad, so he's ran some home runs, but the WOBA was bad. 2.4% walks is terrible. As far as like an actual baseball player, you want you want to be more patient than that. And the strikeouts at 32%. He has shown some power at 238 as far as the ISOs, but the WOBA, the on base average is not good at 274. But all or nothing. And of course, if he gets on, he's got some wheels too. But yeah, he's much better versus righties, but he's not. There's still some upside. So I like that number that TJ is posting. It's plus 650. You're running 150 hypothetically, Chop. 150. How many of these pitchers don't make your pool? So I think you could probably have 10.
How many don't make it?
Not in the 150.
I actually didn't do that today, but let's count them off real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Probably around 6 don't make the cut at all. 6 absolutely would have 0% of.
Ashcraft?
Yeah, he's a goner.
Blackburn?
Yep, he's a goner.
Probably Smith.
Yep, I think the Diamondbacks are a quality offense. I don't really want to attack that.
He's been pretty good for what it's worth.
Yeah,
for being a White Sox, the stench of that team has not completely ruined
typically, him. if you got an implied team total of 5 or over against you, I'd probably mark you off of my list. And he's at 5.1 earlier, so he's gone. Yeah. He gone.
You're doing the White Sox announcer when you're saying he's gone. I picked up on that.
All right.
Kolek. I think Kolek is out. Just what's this K upside?
I'm keeping Kolek in, but yeah, you're right. No Ks, but I mean it's a really weird slate, so I did keep him in.
17.6 as far as the strikeouts on the season. Mitchell Parker. Did I say Parker? He's out, right? I think he's
out. He's out. Yep.
Who else would be out? I don't know if. Well, I mean, Wyman's for the Yankees. We don't know. Like he's kind of a wild
card. He's out for me. Exactly. He's a wild card, and that's not what I need. And it's at Cincinnati, Great American Ballpark. Just incredible hitting environment tonight. I don't want that. For an unknown guy when the rest of the stuff is not great, but at least it's relatively known. So he's out. Also, another one, Dean, Liberator.
Yeah,
that is just a rock solid, just an elite offense over there. And I don't want to attack that, especially not tonight where I think let me double check there. Where are we at? St. Louis. Yeah, it's not this incredible hitting environment tonight, but it's the Cubs can hit in it. The Cubs can hit when the wind is blowing in at Wrigley. They can certainly go to St. Louis and hit the ball. I don't want to attack an offense like that. So Liberator is out for me.
By the way, I had to pull it up. I was curious. PCA on the season batting 183 versus lefties. I know batting average is not everything.
Oh, you just grinding his gears. You just trying to get on him.
I mean, look, 183. Mario Mendoza's was better than that. He's much better versus Brady. He does have 5 homers.
Carlos Mendoza was better than that.
Well, I was doing the Mendoza line reference is what I was going with. But, TJ says, good thing all we care about is home runs. Yeah, he's got 5 homers and 86 at-bats. Good for him. But it's you might as well take – there's anybody else that's an all-or-nothing home run guy. He hasn't been good against lefties. I stand by it. 5 times he hit a homer. Otherwise, he stunk. He's got 15 hits. He could be better. I'm not saying he's a complete project. I want some PCA stock. I just don't like him against lefties right now. No patience, striking out 32% or something like that. That's all. By the way, Chop, you're gonna be upset. I'm tilted too. I was seeing all weekend.
No.
I was
don't
seeing
even
all
say
weekend.
it.
Somebody had a hole in one on Friday. Somebody got it in 2 today. I don't know how they got it in 2. I mean, I feel like they could have pieced something together, but they even said, I don't even know. Yeah, invisible to nothing for me. James is kind of the clues get better. I was really, really kind in clue 4 and 5, and it's kind of easy at the end. But we do have a winner in the Discord. Shout out to D-Rock. He's won this before once or twice.
Okay, what's clue 3?
We'll keep it going. Damage is clue number 3. Invisible, James, and damage. That is our first 3 clues. Does Hoskins being out for Milwaukee, does that affect you a fair bit? I think Bowers is in there instead.
No.
I kind of liked him today for the Milwaukee stack.
I mean, he's sometimes you can definitely play Rhys Hoskins for sure, but that doesn't move the needle on my pitcher though, or my stack. I think some of the younger guys I would be more tempted to play anyway for that team, but that doesn't move the needle for me.
So the chat, Derek is taking his victory lap here and on the YouTube. Says, I own Dean, and I tip the cap. Shout out to you. Several people are accusing him of using Chat GPT. Is that a performance enhancer? I don't even know if that would work. I don't know how that – I can't imagine. I try to Chat GPT proof my game, but I don't think that would work. Maybe it does. Movie with Invisible and James, I don't think that would work. No, it wouldn't. I mean, I didn't play it out, but what do you think of these accusations, though, Chop? Just recklessly throwing it out all willy-nilly.
I think that people are giving Chat GPT a lot more credit than what it really deserves because sometimes I'll ask it for relatively simple information about college football, and it just or the I asked it for some do a little research on the OKC and Indiana series for me before game 1. Can you do a little light research for me? It's coming back with Josh Giddey being a key player in the series. I had to tell it, ChatGPT, Josh Giddey doesn't play for OKC anymore. And so the next lines came out, and a few lines later, it was Josh Giddey again. And I was like, dude, look, you're useless here, buddy. So
did Josh Giddey watch the game last night?
I don't know, man. Probably not. Is
he bummed? Does he care? He's probably bummed.
He probably still got a couple friends there, but I'm sure he's upset that he didn't get to partake in it. But, Josh, you're not winning a title if you're on that roster, buddy. Without Caruso,
on the bench,
without Caruso, with Josh Giddey, they're not winning a title. So, I don't know. Anyway, where are we at? Damage. If somebody got this thing already.
By the way, ChatGPT, the first thing it's telling me is The Invisible Man.
Is that it? Is that it?
That is not the movie. That
okay,
is not
listen.
The movie.
All right, let me think here. You like to tie it into stuff. You like to tie it into the
There is a reason why I picked the movie today. Actually, there is a reason.
Is it something to do with the new James Bond movie coming out?
No.
Okay,
it's something to do peripherally. You wouldn't really put it together, but peripherally to do with the Oklahoma City Thunder winning the title. But you wouldn't necessarily know it.
Should have thought about that. Something to do with OKC winning the title.
Yeah. Here, I'll just throw it out there just because we already have a winner. I was thinking of famous people, famous actors that are from OKC. So that was kind of the angle that I took. All right. What else do we have as far as pitchers? I feel like we're not saying a lot, but I don't have a lot to say. I don't know how to pick the right pitchers today. I don't know if Wu is good chalk. I don't think it's great chalk. I think he's fine. But like you said, just get a different shuffle as far as hitters. And if we happen to see something that's clearly chalk as far as hitters, I think it's bad. if we get something like that, because I don't really see any like super obvious clear separation. The Yankees and Arizona both have 5 totals. They're both on the road. They're both in good hitting environments. I like them fine, but I don't think they're just elite jumping off the table. Yeah, Woo at 29%. If you're going to roster one of those two, Woo or Schwellenbach, who would it be?
Woo, the nature boy. Just because the Mets, I don't really want to play around too much with the Mets.
Yeah.
San Diego lineup is out. It looks as we expected it to be. So, I'd go Woo over Schwellenbach. I wouldn't play those two guys together because I think that's your biggest like chalky combination of the night. Now, some guys we didn't mention. If the roof is closed in Milwaukee, that makes it, I think, a little bit better pitcher spot, even though it's generally a hitter spot anyway. But 90 degrees, roof open, going to make it hard for me to play the pitchers. So if they close the roof, I think Chad Patrick is in play. If they leave the roof open, I probably wouldn't play him. Other than that, I said this in the survey, but I typically would not roster Ben Brown. He is a tough starting pitcher. He has only 2 pitches, and it can catch up to him at times. But he does have the highest K rate on the slate for this season, meaning on something like this, I guess you could play him. And I'm not super like – it's not like I'm fearful of the St. Louis lineup. It's okay, but there's some strikeouts. Yeah, I'm not super fair. So maybe Ben Brown gets there because of his case. There may be no separation at all between pitchers tonight, and going cheaper on like Ben Brown helps you out with the salary. The last one we didn't talk about that I have an interest in just because of the matchup is, of course, Eduardo Rodriguez.
Oh yeah,
I mean he can be like we've talked about it. They're playing in Rate Field tonight. Chicago has had great hitting weather the past few days. They've scored like 50 runs in 2 games in Seattle, Chicago Cubs. Southside isn't that far off. So it makes Rodriguez a bit tougher, but the offense is something he can attack and get some strikeouts on. So Rodriguez is in play at 7,300 on DK. So other than that, these other guys would be tough rosters, but I'm in on those guys.
TJ is saying in chat, he'll be jumping on later with you get Dave Potts, Cheese is Good, as well as BeerMakersFan. You get Beer and Cheese. And TJ's going to be holding it down, but he's got Patrick, Brown, and Jack Kohanowitz as his 3 favorites. I assume Kohanowitz is not his favorite. It's just like he's cheap and he should hopefully survive. I assume that's the approach there, TJ. Feel free to jump on and elaborate. Because Kohanowitz is not the relative to the slate. Yeah, obviously, I don't think Jack Kohanowitz is your favorite pitcher. I wouldn't imagine so. Chop, it is not X-Men, by the way. I saw you guessed X-Men. It is not X-Men. Anything else of note we should say as far as the pitchers, or shall we move on and talk about some hitters? We have all the lineups with the exception of Boston. Yeah, I saw somebody else talk about Kohanowitz as well, because this Red Sox lineup, certainly still reeling without Devers. I guess it's a good thing that they sent down Christian, right? Christian is in the minors learning first base. No Nats or Padres as far as lineups. We got everything else. We'll be talking about our favorite stacks on the slate in just a second. But Chop, unless you got anything else, we can scoot along. Alan says Kolek is a pivot off of Brown as an SB2. I mean, Kolek is just got to survive. I don't know. I don't really like him. He's not a big strikeout guy. James Wood is awesome. CJ Abrams is really good. He's got revenge in his heart, I imagine. I don't know. It's been a couple of years, right? It's been a couple of years since they traded him for Soto. I feel like it's been a couple of years. The back half of that Washington lineup is pretty putrid. It's not out just yet, but spoiler, it's not going to be good. But we can move along. I wish I had some stronger takes as far as the pitchers. I'm not playing Kolek, and I'm open to playing 9 or 10 of these guys for what it's worth. I'm open to playing Kohanowitz too, just because he's super cheap, and Boston kind of stinks. TJ, he's got an injury. He's playing with an injury. He was questionable coming in. He's got a back. That's why TJ's not popping on. But hopefully TJ, maybe we'll see him later on. Maybe we won't. We'll hear his voice if nothing else. But Chop, we are going to be talking about our favorite stacks here in a second. Before we do that, what is today's tiers category? This is something I had no say in. I always like this when you keep it to, spontaneous for me and spontaneous for the audience. What is today's tiers category?
Well, Dean, We had a NBA Finals, NBA season decided last night in the Game 7. So the NBA season is over, and we crowned the Oklahoma City Thunder the 2024-25 NBA champs. So I wanted to go on and look at some. I just cut it off at the year 2000, the 2000s. I wanted to look at NBA champs from across the different years, and I wanted to kind of tier up. How do you say it?
Different little dynasties?
No, certainly not dynasties.
Fraudulent
There you
NBA
go.
championships.
Fraudulent NBA champs.
Oh,
Frauds.
the Heat better not be on. If I see the Heat in this list, we're gonna be fighting.
Frauds. Yeah, fraudulent NBA
Oh,
champs. I could, because you know what, Dean? I'm not too proud to admit that I am one of the world's biggest haters. I will hate on the hell out of you if I don't like you, and so why not? Let's do it.
You don't feel better celebrating somebody as opposed to trying to rip them down?
Oddly enough, like if the Pacers win last night, I'll probably celebrate them and be good with it. But OKC won, so I'm going to hate on them because I'm a hater, and that's just the way it's going to be. And that's just how it is, Dean. Here's the thing about society in general, Dean. This is like a microcosm. People just need to embrace who they are. Like, I'm a hater. I hate you. I don't have to cover it up. There's no reason to cover it up. Just embrace who you are, man. It makes the world.
You're part of the problem.
No, if I don't impose that on anybody, I'm not out there sitting in the street letting you trying to stop your car from going, because of whatever the case may be. I'm not imposing my will on anybody. I'm just letting it be. But if you want to bring up the board,
Can I tell you something, Chop?
Talk to me.
I just want to tell you, this is funny because Hater was on the original list of today's clues for William Monday. Hater was actually on the board. It was on the board, and I took it off.
Josh Hader? I mean,
not Josh
Bill Hader. Bill Hader.
Where do you think he's from?
Is he from Oklahoma City?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's from the city.
Know
I know he's from Oklahoma. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I'm curious who is So wait, it's like the biggest frauds that won a title. So the Pistons, right? The Pistons team. That's the most fraudulent team.
Here's the thing, Dean.
They get an assist from the Lakers, just imposed or whatever. They just imploded. But that Pistons team is the worst team to win a title in the last 20 years, 25 years, whatever it is.
There's a lot of, you believe it or not, there was a lot of candidates vying for those top two spots.
Dallas too. The Dallas team that beat Miami.
I definitely thought that the Dallas team. I thought Dallas was going to make it. I thought Dallas was going to make it, but then I just started digging in, and I was like, "Whoa, wait, there's just too much here. I can't even put them on the list."
Okay. The 2020, you're a big bubble guy. You put an asterisk by it.
Fraudulent title that we've all witnessed in our life. There's no doubt about it. The bubble. That's LOL, Dean. Like, they took 7 months off of basketball and threw these guys in a bubble and tried to say that was a real title. Give me a break. We all know that's fraudulent. A lot of guys could.
I mean, they also faced a significantly inferior team in Miami. That was a bunch of overachievers.
I can even overlook some of the inferior competition, but yeah, I can't overlook the fact that like 90% of the guys didn't even want to be there. So they were like losing games on purpose.
Some teams are losing on purpose. I'm pretty sure,
just to get out of there. So then I'm going to go. Tier 2, Dean. I'm going to go Oklahoma City because they just won. Why not? But let's go. Come on.
You are a hater. They went wire to wire. There's
a lot. There's plenty of teams that could have made the cut right here for sure. But I'll say, they would have beat Memphis anyway. But losing Ja Morant the way they did, he was undercut on a dirty shot. All right, fine. But
come on. You think
Curry,
that Memphis was going to?
I'm telling you,
can't be serious.
I just said Memphis wasn't going to beat them anyway. But Steph Curry. Now I was intrigued with Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry combination, and then Curry pulled his hammy, and they didn't even have to play him. Listen. The Nuggets gave him all they wanted, and Aaron Gordon pulled his hammy and did not even have a real opportunity to play in Game 7. And he was one of the key players for them. He was the second biggest player for that team in that series. They needed him more than anybody else except for Jokic.
Paul Murray wasn't very good.
And then, of course, Dean, I'm not lying to you, Dean, and I'd say this I'm not trying to troll right here, but Halliburton would have been. He was on it. He was going to do special things in Game 7. He three-pointers.
That's terrible. We lost that. Yeah,
3 3-pointers in the first 7 minutes. He's been the clutch guy for them. I think the The thing about OKC, if you can get them in a tight game with 4 minutes left, you can beat them. They go on these scoring runs and go up by like 20, and that's how they put you away. And they don't even have to worry about the last 4 minutes. And that was all thrown out the window when Halliburton went down. So I thought that was that. All right, so number 3, I put it as neutral. Clearly could have been massively fraudulent. 2018 Golden State Warriors.
Is that with KD on the team?
There was a Kevin Durant on the team, and I say it's fraudulent because the best record in the NBA that year was the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets owned a 3-2 lead in the Western Conference Finals, and they're going in the last minute of Game 5, and Chris Paul pulls his hammy. They lose 2 in a row. Houston clearly goes on and wins that championship without that Chris Paul incredible hamstring injury. There's no doubt about that in my mind. So that was the number one. Historically, number one offensive efficiency team in the history of the NBA, the Houston Rockets that year. So, again, all right, number 4. Now we're getting into teams that weren't fraudulent. These teams were good. 2003 Spurs, best record, breezed in the playoffs. Duncan, Parker, Manu, Admiral was still on that team. Steven Jackson was on that team.
Steven Jackson,
yeah, he was good, man. 2003 Spurs. And then the least fraudulent champion of all time got to be 2001 Lakers with Shaq and Kobe, 15-1 in the playoffs. The only loss they had in the playoffs was that Allen Iverson finals game 1 where he was like remarkable. And other than that, they would have swept clean the whole playoffs. That team was really good. So that's my board, D. You can do what you want with that.
All right. I don't have too much of an issue with it. I mean, I think I wouldn't call the 2020 Lakers fraudulent. And also, the OKC take is, it's not their fault that players kept getting hurt against them, And you could say Boston didn't Boston have the same deal last year? They just faced a bunch of opponents that kept getting hurt.
I respect Kirk D's too much to put, but they were definitely on my mind. But I respect Kirk D's too much to put Boston up there. He takes it he takes it too personally.
Would he have got upset? Would he pop? I haven't seen
100%. He would have been in this chat right now. Reaming me.
Keeping that like button. We will continue to drop clues for today's Movie Monday. We already have a winner. Invisible, James, Damage. The 4th clue, Chop, is track. Track is the 4th clue. First game we're going to talk about, it's Atlanta at New York. Spencer Schwellenbach taking on Paul Blackburn. Braves, one of the more popular teams, locked in for 9 against the Mets. Blackburn, one of the weaker pitchers. This ballpark, of course, historically does not play well for hitters. It does look good today per Weather Edge. Let me give it a refresh, see if anything has changed. But last we saw, it's hot and wind is blowing out. Yeah, fire emoji. 60 previous games of similar weather. A 12.9% bump in homers with 8 miles per hour as far as the wind. Essentially the dead center, left center. Acuna, Olsen especially, the left-hander versus Blackburn looks spectacular. Again, this lineup does fall off. There's pinch hit risk as well with guys like White and Allen, and just really, really terrible. Do not help your stack out at all. And then you have a Mets team, Chop, that's just not going to get played. Just not going to get played. Soto came alive over the weekend. You can always play the polar bear. Polar bears prefer the heats, but no, they prefer the cool, right? That's how that works. They get all that for Lindor, and one of the better shortstops in all of baseball. I think Nemo actually banged a couple out over the weekend in the same game. They went doubled on Nemo and Soto. Rough back end as well, but just a good offense that's not going to get played. Against Schwellenbach is one of the better pitchers. Where do you have Atlanta and the Mets?
Yeah, speaking of polar bear, Dean, if you're ever out in the woods and you run into a bear, Dean, just remember this one. Okay, just remember this one. Brown, lay down.
I've heard that.
Black, fight back. If it's white, say good night. You're not
good night.
Polar bears got you by the short and curly.
Also, where's a polar? I know in Lost you might see a polar bear in the woods, but where else are you going to find a polar bear in the woods?
Well, if you're out in,
where do you think I'm going to
be? In Antarctica or something.
You see me going to Antarctica? You see me doing that?
I could find one if I drove like 10 hours north, probably.
There you go.
And still, there you go. North of Saskatoon. What is north of Saskatoon? You guys, you drive 10 hours?
It'd be tough. It'd be really tough. But you can get up there with Northwest Territories and stuff. But North Saskatchewan, there aren't really roads that go there.
You make a left, you see Russia at some point, right? That's what I'm told.
Drive through Alaska, drive over the ice to Russia.
Yeah, I guess it's still a bit of a distance as well. Chop, Atlanta, Mets, where are we throwing these teams?
Oh, Dean, I hate to look at a little Blackburn start and only give Atlanta a tier 3, but that's how I'm going today. Atlanta's in tier 3 against Blackburn. He's not very good. I could certainly see a stack paying off, but just for the sake of the board, I'm going to go tier 3. The New York Mets against Schwellenbach. I like the offense, and yeah, they won't be played, but there's just much better spots for me. So he's been really good. I'm going tier 4. I don't care about the ownership so much tonight at all. Ownership doesn't matter to me tonight at all. I can get ton of different ways.
I did want to see if there's like one player that's sort of popping is going to be heavily owned. And if that's whoever that is, I just won't play them. But I'm kind of with you as well. I don't really care about the ownership stuff. Pitching wise, a little bit more. Like we talked about, not necessarily wanting to lean in on Schwellenbach and Wu. There's another lefty, by the way, in the Spidey Bomb. So lefty for Chicago. You are getting a discount. You're getting better odds. Left on left, Kyle Tucker is the second Spidey Bomb. Keep hitting that like button. More Spidey Bombs are coming. Later on in the show, before we turn it over to Crunch Time, you got beer and cheese. And TJ will be holding that down. He'll be hosting. But we also have the knockers and the old BBP suggestion of the day. So do stay tuned for that. Game number 2. It is the Reds. The Reds are hosting the Yankees. The Yankees, I believe, have the biggest total on the board. Lodolo taking on New York. Left-hander. We still have some lefties in this lineup, obviously. Jazz in the 6-hole, the 5-hole, that is. Wells doing the catching. Bellinger in the 2-hole. Aaron Judge, obviously, just annihilator of baseballs. Giancarlo Stanton, if he's the same guy he was, seems too cheap, although he can't really move, but you don't have to move that fast when you hit the ball over the fence. Has he hit one out yet this year? I think he hasn't, unless I missed it. I feel like he hasn't done that just yet. But, he's still – when he's in that box, man, he just looks so intimidating. Obviously, he's got some holes in his swing. Goalie leading off here for New York. We had Candelario was kicked off the team for the Reds. I saw he was DFA'd earlier in the day. So throwing that one out there. Of course, the big stud there is Ellie De La Cruz. I don't know if you saw it over the weekend, but it was so hot he threw up out in the field. And like an inning or two later, he banged out a homer. I thought they were going to take him out of the game. They stopped the game for like 5 minutes or so.
Been there, Dean. Little heat exhaustion.
Football? Texas football heat?
Yeah, little heat exhaustion, no big deal. Now, back when I played, we didn't know about strokes and all this other stuff. So, you throw up from the heat, and they're just like, get back in there. Get back to practice. Nowadays, we know better.
Water's for wimps.
Yeah. Oh my God. I could just tell you right now, they did not used to let us get water back in the day. Like we had like 3 breaks during the entire 2.5-hour practice, and you had to wait for it. And man, you'd be so thirsty, and it would just be trauma.
I remember being at a basketball camp where we were doing like this defense drill, and throughout it we had to like slap the floor as hard as we could and yell "Waters for the weak" as we had to like top it through the drill. And it's like that's just a terrible idea.
In the soccer games, the World Cup, they have it's like a water break, but they have a certain term for it. I couldn't remember the name of it, and also in part I imagine because they were playing over in the desert, right, where it was just scalding. But, I assume that's a newer thing, and that's not something they did 20, 30, 40 years ago or so, but certainly, to the benefit of the players. Yankees, Reds, what do we got?
Both of these teams are in tier 2 for me. Yankees against Lodolo, like he can be a pretty decent pitcher, but the Yankees, they got a lot of some guys in this lineup. I don't mind him against that left-hander, so I like that. And since we're dealing with the Great American Ballpark, man, it's a hitter's paradise out there, for home runs. So since he's going in tier 2, just based on the ballpark and the solid matchup to start, like the Yankees have a good bullpen, but with any bullpen, you kind of need to get the ratings are a little bit skewed, and you don't know what part of the bullpen you're going to get. There's like 11 to 12 arms out there. Typically, are you going to get the good ones? So I'm willing to hope that since he gets off to a lead, so you don't see the power leverage arms for the Yankees. So since he's tier 2, Yankees tier 2, this looks like a good game for offense.
All right. Pirates and the Brewers, 8.5 is the total. We'll go ahead and drop that 5th clue here for Movie Monday. If you haven't quite got there, just
I didn't get my last guess, Dean.
Oh, well, do you want me to hold off on it?
Is it It?
It is not It. It is not the clown movie. No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bill Hader's in it. Yeah, it's
Damn,
not.
Man. All right.
Yeah. Are you excited about the TV reboot for It on HBO? I'll
I'm
probably
watching that crap, man.
It's not really my my speed, but I generally give a more leeway to the HBO shows. I'll try most anything. But are you afraid of clowns? Is that what
No.
you're okay?
No, I've never really liked scary movies. They don't do it. They just don't. It's just a genre that doesn't do it for me. So
Okay. You don't like a favorite horror movie that you might? There's no exception to the rule.
no, none of them like are stuff I want to rewatch. Like I've seen them. I've watched them. They just it's not a good watch. It's an anxious, crazy one. Maybe a little trauma from childhood. Freddy on Nightmare on Elm Street kind of stuff. And then plus one, I remember I was a kid and the movie was before that time, but obviously you could rewatch it. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Because they tell you this is based on a true story. And not only that, it's from Texas and I'm in Texas and I'm a kid and I'm like, holy shit, what is going on here, man? I can't deal with this. Like this really happens. So it's traumatizing, man.
It's found footage. All right. Pittsburgh and Milwaukee. Chad Patrick against Braxton Ashcraft. Again, no Reese Hoskins here for Milwaukee. We think the roof's going to be open per the hotline, per Mr. Irrelevant in chat. We didn't get official confirmation on that, but what is the actual temperature in Milwaukee? We should have Googled that as well. Do you have the actual temperature? I guess
low 90s. I think it's low 90s.
And they're going to keep the roof open for that. I'm close. Yeah.
I've already I told you earlier, Dean. I was trying to explain it to you.
89 is what I'm seeing.
Okay. There you go. 80. Yeah. I mean, it gets so hot that there's no AC in certain parts, and they can't close it, man, because it gets too hot in there, and people will be doing like Ellie De La Cruz and having some heat exhaustion. So keep it open. It's actually a little bit cooler, but then that's going to help the hitters tonight and hurt the pitchers. So I'm the Pittsburgh thing. I'm just not a fan of Pittsburgh anyway, regardless, open, close. I think Chad Patrick's a quality arm, quality enough that on this slate I don't need to do anything stacking against him. So Pittsburgh's a tier 4 for me. But Milwaukee, on the other hand, against basically what's probably going to amount to a bullpen game for Pittsburgh, not a particularly good bullpen, not a particularly good starter going out there right away. Milwaukee's a tier 1 for me. I'm jumping Milwaukee in tier 1 with this weather. I really like it. I gotta play that. Like weather matters, man. Look at the dew point model. Kirk Deese's dew point model is almost undefeated there, man.
I gotta get access to that one of these days. I gotta start being nicer to him. I'm a hater of Kirk Deese, apparently. I don't know. Or at least he interprets that. That's not my intent. Seattle and Minnesota, Bailey Ober versus Brian Woo. It's a 9 total. The Mariners are favored here, minus 137. Big dumper, Kyle Raleigh will not stop. It's bonkers at this point. I know he was aided by some wind this weekend. There were several homers that were kind of goofy, but he still banged out 4. I believe he's at 31 now. Most home runs by a catcher, or like a guy that predominantly played catcher. I did a Google over the weekend. I was curious who it was. In the last 5 years, you know who did it in the last 5 years?
Most home runs by a catcher in the last 5 years?
Yeah, and this is like all of baseball. As their predominant position as catcher. I think it was 47 or 48. So he's well in range.
I'm drawing a blank.
Sal Perez.
Oh, good one. No, I mean I've seen the numbers on Raleigh. They have compared him to Barry Bonds' first so many games of that home run season. Like he's literally on a Barry Bonds pace when Barry Bonds hit 70 home runs. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's been pretty phenomenal for him. Taking on Bailey Ober, who is a fly ball pitcher. So you like that combination of the two. Of course, you got to pay for it. You've been happy to pay for it many times this season. I believe Ober is the biggest fly ball pitcher on this slate. He is 1.42 homers per 9 as well. So he will give up some homers. Pretty good pitcher otherwise, but just he has fly ball tendencies. The wind is also suggesting that the park is better today than it typically is. We have 11 miles per hour wind to right center field. 27 games, not a huge sample, but in 27 games, Chop, a 41% bump in homers at this park. I want a bigger sample, but that is a pretty alarming number. I don't know if you saw, by the way, Weather Edge was broken over the weekend. Not broken, but like there was no previous data as far as one of the Cubs games. Like there was nothing like it. They'd never seen it before. The combination of things that were going on. Of course, there's a lot of homers, but Yeah, Weather Edge. Raw told us, and you could tell, like, of course, it was a great spot, and the total was like 11.5, and that was too low, or 12.5, whatever number they put it at. How about today? How do we feel about Kyle Raleigh? Does he keep that momentum going? The Mariners as a whole. By the way, also on your side, Byron Buxton. When he's healthy, he's incredible. He's been
great.
Awesome of late.
He's great.
He's healthy. He's in the lineup. Those two hitters are really, really good for tournaments. How about the stacks? How do you feel about the Mariners and the Twins?
Oh man, it's an interesting game, Dean, but I'm not really all that into it for offense. Seattle's a tier 3 team for me. Let's say, I bet Bailey Over's not great, but he's certainly not terrible. He just doesn't strike very many guys out, that's for sure. But when he leaves the game, assuming that this is a close game, and Vegas is telling you it's a pretty tight game, assuming that it's a close game, you're going to get the number 1 bullpen by my metrics, Dean, the number 1 bullpen in baseball. Yeah, I don't think, I think I could do better than that. So, and Minnesota on the flip side, Woo's really good. He's corrected some things this year that have given him problems in the past. And so Minnesota's a tier 4. He's just too quality. We've got all these other teams out there that are really good. So I don't need to stack that. Minnesota's a tier 4.
Minnesota hanging out with the Spurs. We'll keep it moving here. Next game up is the D-backs. The D-backs taking on the White Sox. 9 total. Shane Smith, Erod. We did mention before, Corbin Carroll still dealing with, I think it's a finger or a hand or a wrist. His body part is somewhere on his hand. He's unavailable tonight, not in the lineup. I shouldn't say unavailable. He might be able to pinch hit. They're kind of at that point, though, right? It's been 4 or 5 games where they might just say screw it and throw him in the 10-day, and that's retroactive. Not sure what they're doing there. Maybe something's happened and I missed it. D-backs are one of the bigger totals on the board. Almost 5, 4.8. Shane Smith's been okay. He hasn't been completely horrendous. And the White Sox at least have some cheap hitters. Teal is a cheapie. Miguel Vargas has been hitting the ball pretty well. Luis Robert, he said himself like he's not playing good enough to get traded. Like, who wants to trade for me? I suck, essentially, is what he said. Yeah, Diamondbacks and the White Sox. But like Austin Slater feels like a pinch hit waiting to happen in the 2-hole. Curious what Cardi has on that. But that to me feels, my spidey sense is tingling on pinch hit alert. White Sox, Diamondbacks, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm playing the weather angle here, Dean. I'm definitely going to play the weather angle. I think the White Sox, even in a relatively tougher matchup with a weak offense, I'm still going to put them in tier 3. I'm still kind of unknown about them. I think there is a little potential there, and potential for Eduardo Rodriguez to always go off the rails. He can be bad like that. Shane Smith, a solid pitcher, not spectacular. But in this weather, with this bullpen behind him against this offense, Arizona's a tier 1 for me. Arizona's going in tier 1.
Arizona in tier 1, joining the Brewers. The White Sox hanging out with Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green. We have 3 games to go here, Chop. 3 games to go. We got 10 minutes till Crunch Time joins us. You got TJ. He'll be holding it down. He'll be hosting. You got Cheese and Beer as well joining the show. And look at that, right on cue, Luis Robert. I don't know if that was planned or not on my end, but Luis Robert says, today, you're going to want to trade for me today. It's DFS, all we care about today and today only. Robert is 4-1, and Spidey likes him. What?
Okay, it's Trainwreck, Dean.
Yeah, it's Trainwreck.
Man, okay. You did the John Cena thing, right? Invisible?
Yes, that's what that was.
I get it.
ChatGPT can't do that. There's no levels ChatGPT.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Now I get it. All right.
The first clue.
If I would have just known that the key to that whole thing was Bill Hader. That was the key. If you could have figured out Oklahoma Bill Hader, that would have been the key. But
what else would you? Tropic Thunder. He was in Tropic Thunder. He was in Skeleton Key, which nobody saw. Was a good movie. But is he in MacGruber? I'm not sure if he's in MacGruber. I might be making that up. But yeah, Barry, the great TV show Barry, of course. Chop, you're a Barry guy, I assume.
That was a really good show on TV. It was I don't know who plays the
the guy from The Office.
No, the guy who plays in Barry. He's the enemy.
Oh, the bald guy.
Yeah. Who's Chechen? He's like a Chechen guy, whatever it is. I don't know what nationality. That guy's hilarious. Now I think he's probably
No Hank you're thinking of.
okay. Now I think
Anthony
he's
Carrington.
probably typecast now because of that show, but he was really funny. That's just all around good show right there. Yeah.
It's good quality television. Anthony Carrington or Anthony Kerrigan. TJ got the Austin anything
Superman movie.
Oh, okay. He's not playing Lex Luthor though. That's the guy from The Menu, right?
Yeah, no, that's Nicholas Hoult. He's playing a guy named Metamorpho.
Oh, is that a spoiler, TJ? No. All right. 2 more games to go. Is it 3 more games to go? They will not stop with the marketing. Honestly, how is this movie not in the theaters? I feel like it's already been out and like gone. They've been marketing this movie for like months.
What movie? What movie?
The new Spider-Man.
Oh,
it's
really?
still like 2 more weeks till it's coming out. Like
I think they probably got to keep doing it because dummies like you think it's the new Spider-Man and not the new Superman.
Oh, Superman. Yeah,
Superman. Yeah, it's whatever. They're all the same.
Looks good. I saw Captain America: A Brave New World this weekend on Friday night. That was my Friday night movie. Captain America.
Did he win?
That was a good movie, Dean. I'm not gonna lie, man. I didn't think it was gonna be particularly good. I liked it.
Where is
Marvel?
Is that Disney?
Marvel.
Is that where it's streaming? Disney?
Yeah, I'm a Marvel guy though, but yeah.
You don't have to choose. You choose Marvel over DC?
No, I mean I like Marvel's definitely better than DC. I don't have play favorites with it though, but if you're into the whole Marvel thing, Captain America: Brave New World got a nice little storyline to it.
Red Sox, Angels, 9 total. Jake Ohanowitz, Walker Buehler. We did get the Boston lineup. Duran, Toro, Anthony, Story, Abreu, Rafaela, Mayer, Wong, and Hamilton. Against the Angels, looks pretty standard. Neto, Schwanwell, Trout 3K on FanDuel, by the way. It's a really good price on FanDuel. Ward, Darno, Adele, Wade, Rengifo, and the rookie Moore, who got his first homer in his life in the majors. So shout out to him. Boston and the Angels. What do you got?
Well, like 2 weeks ago, you told me Schwanwell ain't got no power, and then he comes on, he's blasting bombs every other game now, man. So I don't know what to think about that. But I would say in general for this game, I'm really not all that interested. I don't even know what to make of it. Boston for me was a tier 3 team. Let's put them in new. I don't like the lineup, but I do like the matchup, even though this guy went out there against the Yankees his last start and completely ruined our Yankee stacks. Just absolutely whiffed them. I don't know how he did that or what's real. But I think Boston's just a mediocre team, tier 3. LA Angels for me, you got to take stands on this thing, Dean. And the Angels for me are going in tier 5. No, you're polar opposite. Yeah, I got to take a stand here. I don't like this game in general, and I just don't think Walker Buehler at times he looks like this is the guy that first came up with the Dodgers that looked like he was going to be a world beater. Sometimes he doesn't do that. Sometimes he does. So I'm going to take a stand tonight and say that he shuts down the Angels.
By Schwanwell on the season against lefties. I know he's not facing a lefty tonight, but has 63 ISO, which is putrid. Versus the righties, it's a little better at 132. He's a good hitter. He's a good hitter of baseballs, but he's just not somebody that I love, because we like homers, and he'll give you the occasional homer. He gives you good at bats and that kind of thing. He's in a good spot in the lineup, but generally not somebody that's to be breaking the slate. Nats, Padres. I don't think we have a Nats lineup unless I missed it. Did that just come out? I don't think so. That's the only one we're missing, right? We got everything else. Mitchell Parker taking on Steven Kolick. Kolick, not a great K rates. Parker, not necessarily a pitcher we're afraid of either. 8.5 total out there in San Diego. We're assuming we're going to get the regulars and Adams and James Wood. I don't know if you saw his homer over the weekend. He hit one dead center, right center against the Dodgers. Center fielder didn't move. It was insane. That dude has got insane power. Oh, man. He's I had an opening to try to get in my dynasty league to acquire James Wood, and that door is closed, Chop. He's an incredible dynasty. I know we care about dynasty baseball around here a lot, despite the fact we're talking DFS. But yeah, how about tonight? How do you feel about the Nats and the Padres?
I would agree James Wood is a monster, but tonight, just as a stack in general, I'm going to put Washington in tier 5. It's Kolek's not a big strikeout guy, but he will keep the ball in the yard, low fly ball percentage, low home run rates. and a really good bullpen backing him up. So you got to worry about all that. So Washington's a tier 5 for me, and it's a big ballpark too. Mitchell Parker against San Diego, a little bit better matchup right there. A lot better bullpen to deal with afterwards. San Diego's a tier 2 for me.
Let me go ahead and recap the board. Chop, you're going to give the people the knockers in just a second. The old BBP suggestion.
That's the board. That it?
That is it. Yeah, there should be 16 teams up there.
I don't think we did. Did we do St. Louis and Chicago?
Did I skip over them? I might have skipped over them. That's a bad job by me. My apologies. We'll bounce back. You are correct. I stand corrected. Ben Brown taking on.
Get my number 1 stack, and we put my number 2 stack in the bottom tier. You guys are killing me.
This is the type of slate it is, man.
Yeah,
and TJ will come on and tell us where we're wrong when he jumps on with beer and cheese momentarily. But my bad. Yeah, Libator taking on Ben Brown, the lefty, and Libator taking on, PCA, who's just, I'm told, according to the chat and some other hosts, is an incredible hitter of baseballs against lefties, despite what the stats may say. Also, you have Suzuki, who's actually legitimately amazing.
What the stats may say is if he doesn't have a 250 plus ISO and a 50+% hard hit rate. Dean, stop lying to the people.
Batting average, though. He bats like 180. Like, come on.
We don't care about batting average. What cares about batting average? This isn't 1980.
If somebody's got to watch Moneyball, I guess that's me. Ben Brown versus Libator. What do you got here, Chop?
The Cubs offense is good. St. Louis is more mediocre, but pitching is not bad for either one of these teams. I don't know. These are just really neutral stuff. So tier 3 for both of these teams, just to give it a little bit of a, little shape on the board there. Tier 3 for both of them.
Wait, so you built something intentionally? Chop, you were building.
No, but I wanted those.
You intentionally built the middle finger.
No, but I wanted the last 2 to make sure. It just happens sometimes. It's not like I'm aiming to do that when I set out to make my tiers.
You mentioned with the Braves, you go, they're just kind of a victim of the slate, basically saying like you had no choice but to put the Braves in the 3-hole.
Yeah, not because I wanted it to look like a middle finger or anything like that, but just,
all right,
just because sometimes some teams get lost in the slate.
If you're joining the show late, Chopping Alone, he did our tiers today. He ranked the most fraudulent champions in basketball the last 25 years or so. Most fraudulent, the 2020 Lakers, the bubble Lakers. 2 teams are hanging out with them. It's Milwaukee and Arizona. Next, tier number 2, the 2025 Thunder, which is egregious. That's the Cincinnati Reds, the Yankees, and the Padres. Chop is an admitted hater. I appreciate you own that. The Warriors, Steph and KD and Draymond. They have a lot of company. It's Atlanta, Seattle, the White Sox, Boston, the Cubbies, and the Cardinals. Hanging out with the 2003 Spurs. It's the Mets, the Pirates, Twins, all the way at the bottom. I like how you bookended the Lakers. That was well done. All the way at the bottom, the 2001. That's not how you say that. 2001 Lakers. It is Anaheim and Washington. Chop, I'm going to tell the people about today's movie. Then you're going to tell us the knockers and the old BBP suggestion. You did get it. Clue number 1 was Invisible. And Invisible, of course, is a reference to one of the co-stars, so you cannot see, in theory. John Cena. James it's just right out there. It's LeBron James. I didn't think that would be obvious to be LeBron James, but LeBron James also is in this movie. I don't know if you saw, he was saying like when his career's over, he's like, yeah, I'm willing to look at some scripts. He was pretty good. He was actually pretty good in this movie. But I recently watched it like a month or 2 ago.
He has a movie studio, doesn't he?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, he's like, yeah, if scripts come to me, I might start getting the movie business. So we'll see. I'm not sure how how much he can branch out. He was playing himself officially. So I don't know what else he can do beyond that. Anyways, damage is the third clue. Damage is a synonym for a wreck or a train wreck. Trains are on tracks, and trains have conductors. So I kind of made it easy at the end. I wanted to make sure we get a winner, but it was not even necessary. I thought track and conductor would get us there. Train wreck, Bill Hader, LeBron James, Amy Schumer, and Colin Quinn. Somebody else in that movie I can't quite think of, but yeah, that's worth a watch. I think it was on Max. I could be wrong, but it's streaming somewhere. Chop, the people are clamoring as they hit the like button, as they're subscribing. They want more Spidey bumps, but they also want a BEP suggestion. Additionally, they want some knockers. Can you assist them with that?
I can. So the BVP suggestion of the day. This is so the term suggestion is made just for nights like tonight because it's everything is like small sample, not great stuff. Like there's not. So it's just a suggestion, but the numbers, the algorithm kept leading back to Paul Goldschmidt. I don't love picking on Lodolo, but it is what it is, man. It's just a suggestion, and if you want to play that in your lineup based on some of that, then that's fine. So Paul Goldschmidt, BVP suggestion of the day. Now for the knockers, Dean. Always got to have a theme for the knockers. I don't know, Dean, if you've ever imagined any of those CC Winans knockers. Some Winans knockers, Dean. You ever imagined any Winans knockers? A little music, a little gospel music. Some of them knockers right there.
She's a singer. I don't know much about her, but continue.
Okay, we're going wine. We're going to get some Winans knockers tonight. TJ Friedel, Spencer Steer, 1-4 in the order. Cincy versus New York. Can get some Winans knockers.
Did you want to make it tough on tougher? You didn't take Ellie De La Cruz. You wanted to make it tougher. Or you're just not feeling EDLC.
I just don't feel like the people need me to say, "Oh, Ellie De La Cruz," "Oh, my Spidey bomb is Aaron Judge." Like I don't think the people need that. Not a shot at TJ. I'm just saying
it's a shot at somebody. I feel like you're taking shots at somebody.
Oh, my $1 million musing is a play Cal Raleigh. Oh, my under the radar home run of the day. Play Cal Raleigh. Like people don't need that.
Wait a second. You said my $1 million musing. I feel like now you're definitely framing that you're talking about somebody in particular.
No, I'm just saying there's these. Everybody has their articles and stuff. Everybody knows better than that. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody has an article. There are some articles that are out there that talk about musings. Okay. By the way, I did take a peek. There are 2 players on the slate that have 2 homers versus the pitchers that are throwing baseballs tonight. One is Paul Goldschmidt. He has 4 at-bats in his life against Nick Lodolo. 4 hits in 8 at-bats, 2 homers, walk. No walks and a strikeout. The other one is Scott Kingery, who in 4 at-bats has 2 home runs versus Walker Buehler. And wouldn't you know it, did not crack the lineup, which tells me, I was thinking that means Ron Washington's not a BEP guy. Well, he's not managing, right? He's away from right now. Hopefully he's getting better. But their bench coach, Ray Montgomery, would not know BBP but smacked him right in the face because he's not playing Scott Kingery today. Scott Kingery's, 50% of the time the guy's homered against him, Chop. How do you feel about that as a BBP guy? Is that egregious or is that probably correct?
The Scott Kingery numbers, is that what we're talking about? Let me see. Hold on, Dean. Let me see what the algorithm's saying to me.
Okay.
Algorithm.
Take a while to fire it up. You got to hit some buttons.
No, I just got to be punching his name. I just. No. The algorithm says way too small. It's 4 at-bats just doesn't. Nice power, but that could have just all been flukish. Yeah. No.
Did you need the algorithm to tell you that 4 at-bats was too small of a sample? You could have.
The algorithm knows. The algorithm knows. But like Dean, I'm not going to sit here and try to outthink a computer. Are you crazy? That's very egotistical of you to think you could outthink a computer, brother.
It's a fair point. But you know who's going to try and do that? Beer and Cheese. We got Dave Potts from, of course, you guys know the fan $1 Million Musings, as well as a BeerMakersFan and is storied. And you guys know about the 6-pack, not just the 6-pack, but the beast of the night. We'll see who that is. If you have not watched this video yet today, it is crunch time. They're coming in right now. What's up, boys? Happy Monday. Beer, did you grow that over the weekend? And did you have that last time I saw you?
He definitely did not. Something happened for sure.
Something definitely happened.
What are you talking about?
Is the beer different today? I like it. I'm impressed.
I think he forgot it's just for men.
Yeah, that's never happening, Chop. I mean, the wife spends enough money for the both of us on getting rid of gray. So the beard, this is what happens when you live with all females, all daughters, a wife. The dog's a male, but he acts like a female, and this is what happens. So it's just growing out, Dean. The beard has always been there. You probably never see me clean shaven. But yeah, just a little longer, which is not smart in this heat. I wish Roth was here. I got some complaints, but We're not here
How
to
hot
talk
is
that.
it by you?
Oh, it's 97, I think it was today.
Yeah. Same
Too
for you,
hot.
Dave?
Too hot.
Sweltering for you, Dave?
Oh, yeah. I went outside for like 3 minutes. Lizzie really wanted to go for a walk. I threw the tennis ball once and was like, I'll be inside if you need me.
and the dog understood. Like, I kind of want to go inside too.
She didn't really want to be out there too long either. She went and got the ball that one time, and she was fine with that.
TJ, are you feeling all right?
No, but we're gonna pretend like the back is doing okay and just battle through it. We got about just under an hour until lock here. Maybe we'll get out of here a little early. We will see. It is not hot here. We had a bit of a hot spell of like 85 to 95 every day, and now it's a cold spell. We got like 55, 60 degrees right now.
Oh, that'd be nice. That's perfect. 55, 60, you're talking, that's American, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
No, I'm like a 75, 80, guys. 50 to 60, that's too cold.
I can't do the
What is American temperatures?
Well, Fahrenheit versus, in Canada, they do the, what's the other one?
Not just Canada, the rest of the world. It's just you guys using Fahrenheit.
We're too stubborn to change. Yeah. All right. Chop, anything else before we step aside and get out of here? Anything else for the people?
No, we're good.
All right. That was Chop. I was Dean. You got we'll see if we take it all the way up to lock. We have 50 plus minutes until lock. 7, 10, 8 game slate. All the lineups are out with the exception of, I believe, just one, Washington. But if one drops, TJ and the crew will let you know. TJ's holding it down. Take it away. It's all yours, TJ.
All right, we got MLB Crunch Time joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got 3 Spidey Bombs already scrolling down there at the bottom. Pete Crow Armstrong, Kyle Tucker, and Luis Roberts. We will get some more as long as you are smashing the like button. So keep hitting that like button. If we get over 150 likes, I got another one for you. Joining us today, we got Cheese, Dave Potts. How you doing today, Cheese?
I'm doing all right. It's a weird slate. My confidence level is basically 0. I mean, I'll tell you what I'm playing, but this is not one of those with a bunch of like, definitely this is how you build. So feel free to do your own thing today.
I got a few stands I'm willing to take today, but nothing like I'm aggressively confident in. I'm with you. It's definitely just something that everybody looks pretty much about the same today. And helping us break it down, pick out some of these best plays, we got Beer. How you doing tonight, Beer?
I'm good, brother. How's that back doing? You're too young to be having back problems. Me and Cheese should be talking back problems, not the young guy on the show.
I know. I hurt myself about like 8-10 years ago, and now this flares up like once or twice a year, and I sneezed this morning. That's what brought it on.
Okay.
That's your own fault. Never do that.
Yeah.
I was like twisting and I sneezed and I just felt this pain and I went, oh no, that's going to get worse. And then it's just got worse and worse and worse. It's fine as long as I'm laying down. Sitting like this, it does not feel good, but that's okay. We're just going to
I mean, feel free to lay down and Cheese and I can walk through this awful MLB slate. I agree with Cheese. There you go. See, do that. You're fine. Whatever's comfortable. So not the best slate. We'll walk you through. I agree. I'll give you some takes. I'll give you some guys I like, some guys maybe I don't, but strong stands are tough on this slate. So one of them weird days in MLB.
Couldn't agree more. Let's start diving into it. Beer, I'll throw it to you first. Give us a little bit of a 30,000-foot view. What are you doing on tonight's slate?
I hate the starting pitching tonight. I think it's a very difficult position, so we'll walk you through that. But I think that is the key point. There are some very expensive bats that I like. There's a lot of value on this slate. I think there's a number of ways you can stack, and even stacking against some of the quote-unquote higher-end pitchers or guys that are going to be higher owned tonight. So a lot of ways you can go, as always. It's not all bad. It's not all negative here, but it's just one of them weird slates. We get a handful of these every year in every sport, but tonight just feels a little awkward. But I hate the starting pitching tonight. I'll say that. That's my theme.
Geez, how about you? Is there, among this plethora of pretty good but not great stacks and this plethora of fine, not bad, not good, but fine pitching, is there anything you can find that kind of sticks out before we start fully diving in?
No, I'm much closer to Beer's hating the pitching, then you're saying it's fine. I mean, it's somewhere in between hate and fine. No, I mean, like, yeah, I have some guys that I'm just playing, but yeah, let's go with hate over fine. I think that's the lesson here.
For me, it's not even necessarily that it's awful. It's just that nothing differentiates. Like, nothing really stands apart as like, I actually want to play this. It's all just sort of, I don't want to, but I guess I will. But let's start diving into it, starting with the pitching side of things. Cheese, we will start with you. We got Schwellenbach and Brian Wu up top. How are you planning on handling these two guys? Would you be jamming them in together in a cash setting? And then what would you do in tournaments?
So in cash, I would definitely play them both, even though I don't really have much of them, so I don't play cash. There are cheap bats scattered around. Well, there's obvious, super fantastic spend up bats. I think like every other pitcher on the slate besides those two has such risk for like that -15 that you just can't possibly win with. Like I just don't want that in cash. So yes, I would play Wu and Schwellenbach in cash and just punt a few hitting spots. But in tournaments, you know, I don't think they're fantastic plays at basically 10K on both sites. They should be fine. It's just one of those, almost certainly one or two of these random mid-tier pitchers kind of matches their score, if not beats them, and, you know, definitely out points per dollars them, such that if you get several of these high-end bats going off, that's what you would need to win a tournament. So I'm way under them in tournaments. I slightly prefer Schwellenbach over Wu. Basically a toss-up, but I'll go Schwellenbach first if you got the couple extra bucks. And then with the rest of this stuff, I'm playing on DraftKings. Ben Brown is my highest owned pitcher. I don't love it, but he is. I think he's just a little bit better than Bailey Ober, Chad Patrick, and Eduardo Rodriguez. That's kind of the group that I think they all kind of split up the ownership. I wouldn't argue with you any way you want to place those guys, but I've got Brown up top. That's on DraftKings. On FanDuel, the salaries are kind of flipped, where Chad Patrick and Bailey Ober are considerably cheaper than Ben Brown. So I'm playing more Patrick than Brown on FanDuel. And then one of those things that I'm just telling you what I'm doing, not telling you what you should do, is I'm playing a lot of Jack Kachanowicz. You know, I said at the start, a bunch of these guys could go for -15, and he's one of them. But the guys who are 8,600, like Chad Patrick, could do that too. So I just want the guy who's 6,500 and at least keeps the ball on the ground. That's it. That's all I have.
All right, Beer, how about you? Who are you prioritizing between Schwellenbach and Wu? And then of these cheaper mid-tier guys, is there anybody that stands out to you?
I am mostly avoiding those two in tournaments. I agree. Cash game, they're your quote-unquote safest plays. I don't see them getting blown up. In a GPP setting, though, when you combine the ownership, they're going to be the highest two owned. And the matchups, I just don't love the matchup for either. The Mets just do not strike out a lot. Could he still come out and have a ton of strikeouts? Sure. We've seen massive upside out of him, which is why I like him more than Brian Wu. Wu feels like that perfect cash game guy. You know, get you your 5-6 strikeouts once in a while. He's going to pop off. His matchup much better with the Twins, but still don't love spending on either of those guys. So Cheese and I are somewhat in lockstep here. You know, doing the 6-pack this morning. I've liked Ben Brown in spots this season. I haven't liked him, and surprisingly ended up with him as my favorite as far as pricing goes. 7,700 is a good price, a little bit more expensive on FanDuel. The Cardinals, not a great strikeout matchup, but there are some bats in there that can be vulnerable. He's been much better against lefties, so a handful of lefties in the lineup, and a lot of these guys have struggled over the last month with strikeouts. So he is my number one when mixing price and matchup. And then it's just kind of a collection of guys. You know, what do you have left? Chad Patrick is the next guy on my list. Much more appealing on FanDuel at 7,900. It's rare to see a guy cheaper on FanDuel, so I think you can take advantage of that. Pittsburgh, we know, great matchup, bottom 10 in strikeouts and bottom 3 pretty much in everything else. against right-handed pitching. The next guy is Alan Winans for me, and I don't know a whole lot about him. I know he's had a solid strikeout rate in AAA. This is one of those. Could go well. It's a high total game. It's hot there. The Reds could put some numbers on him. So there's some risks there, but I think the fear of the unknown, people don't know a whole lot about this guy, is helping keep his ownership down a little bit. And then Kachanowicz is my other guy. I love some of the bats for Boston. So I think that's certainly a stack that I really like. But at 6,500, I could see him doing well enough against this high strikeout lineup to put numbers on the board. So kind of a guy at every little zone, mostly avoiding the higher price guys and spending on bats. Brown and Patrick in that mid to high tier. If you need to save some money, Winans in that 7K tier, and then Kachanowicz is my cheap option tonight.
All right, take us over to the stacks today, Beer. We got a bunch of offenses that look pretty decent, but nobody that really stands out.
I really like the Braves. I agree with the numbers here. I think it's a great spot for them against Blackburn. He struggles against righties. There's a lot of righties in this lineup that hit very, very well. So they are my number one stack here tonight. My second is going to be Boston. Looks like they'll be under 10% owned, but really love the spot for them tonight. So they're number two. Yankees are in play. Again, hot. Lodolo, not a gas can, not a guy I really want to play tonight, but some dangerous bats in that lineup against lefties. And then my kind of off the radar stack is going to be the Angels tonight. I like that Red Sox Angels game. I don't think there's going to be a ton of attraction on the Angels. There's some cheap bats in that lineup that are very appealing, affordable. Allows you to get Mike Trout if you want, but the Angels are going to be the off the radar team for me tonight.
Love that call. Really big on the Angels today as well. Cheese, how about you? Who you stacking up today?
Yeah, I'll start by saying the same thing. I think probably, maybe not as a full stack, but I think I probably have more Angels than anyone else across my lineups. A vast majority of my lineups have at least one or two of them.
I have about 45% Trout tonight. He's just way too cheap.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I was bummed not to have Ohapi in there, but then d'Arnaud is super cheap and he's fine too. So yeah, I'm on board with the Angels, and it's just I kind of like everybody a lot. For full stacks, I think Arizona probably ended up at the top of my list, but it's really close between Arizona, Milwaukee, Atlanta. And the Angels. I'll say those are probably my top five. But I'm very spread out, and I have a lot of lineups that are not full stacks because there's so many bats to like. I'm finding a lot of like 3-3-2 kind of builds and things like that.
All right, let's start going position by position here. Then, of course, we will take your questions, get them into the YouTube chat, get them into the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat, and we will have you covered. Cheese, why don't you start us off with the catcher position?
All right. For some reason, Chop didn't want us to talk about Cal Raleigh, but
took a shot at you there.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, don't mention the best player. I'll try not to, but play Cal Raleigh only if you want to win. Contreras, I like Brewers stacks. I'm not crazy about individual bats, but like Contreras is fine in that mid tier with all these other guys, though. Like I had so much Ohapi that I had to kind of rebuild all my stuff, which is not easy when it's building by hand in like 10 minutes. So I don't honestly know where I ended up with the most of. It might actually be d'Arnaud because a lot of times I just went down and then spend up somewhere else. But I have more d'Arnaud than I would have if I'd known that was the lineup like 3 hours ago. So like all this mid-tier stuff, meaning like Austin Wells, Stevenson, Kelly, Murphy, it's all fine. But I don't think it's that much better than d'Arnaud or even Quiro or Joey Bart. But it's all far worse than Cal Raleigh, who we are not supposed to mention.
Beer, how about you? Who you playing a catcher?
I'm also going to mention the guy that we shouldn't mention for some reason, and I love Chop. I don't know, he must be a little crabby today or something. But
he was saying for home run
It
picks.
happens.
He was saying people don't need to know Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge, because Dean was asking if he likes the Reds, why he didn't pick Ellie De La Cruz.
sometimes the easy pick is the right pick. Just remember that. So Raleigh, I think, is one of the top bats on the slate. You know, yes, it can feel weird to spend $6K on a catcher. I understand that, but the guy is playing at an incredibly high level. It's, I'm not going to say easy, but easier today to fit him. I think there's enough value across the board. So he's certainly number one. If you want to save, my favorite is probably Sean Murphy. Mentioned I like the Braves, so you're going to hear a lot of Atlanta names here. He's probably your cash game guy if you don't want to spend up on Cal Raleigh, but even in tournaments, good spot for him. I agree on Contreras. He's kind of the middle ground for me. And then there is value. You know, Cuero is only 2,500. Darno has been terrible this year, but 2,600 hitting in the heart of that order. We did have somebody in chat talking about the weather in Anaheim. Yes, it's not as advantageous of a spot, but it's two very vulnerable pitchers. So, you know, weather can be a big boon in a lot of these spots. It's going to be hot. It's going to be windy. So there we don't quite get that edge. But if you don't want to spend, you want to spend up elsewhere, you're spending on some of the premium pitchers. I still think Darno and Cuero at that low price, right around 2,500, can really open some things up. So plenty of options at this position. Some days we don't get that. Raleigh, definitely one of the better spends on the slate.
Raleigh and as well as Darno and Cuero making up about 55-60% of my lineups as well. So same page for me at catcher. Beer, lead us into first base.
My favorite, we'll save it here. I really like Nolan Schanuel, I believe you pronounce his last name. Really swinging a good bat. I like the matchup here for him. Walker Buehler has struggled with left-handed bats, so he's too cheap right now. Really starting to get it going. So price and matchup factored in. He's my favorite. If I'm spending, I'm probably going up to Paul Goldschmidt against Lodolo, just absolutely hammering left-handed pitching this season. So he's at 4,500. And then I mentioned I like the Red Sox. So Abraham Toro, guy you can use at first or third on DraftKings. FanDuel, you even get second base eligibility. So there's going to be opportunities there with Boston, with Devers gone, guys that step up, hit in the heart of that order. He's too cheap in this matchup. So Schanuel, Toro, ways to save, and then Goldschmidt, probably your safest option and feels a little bit too cheap, to be honest.
All right, Cheese, who do you like at first? And then lead us into second right after as I shut off my camera to do a few stretches really quick.
All right. Yeah, I also think Goldschmidt's just a little too cheap, and he would be my top guy. Like, I think it's a reasonable position to save money, mostly on DK. Like Olsen and Goldschmidt, great. Like, I like them a lot. I like Josh Naylor a lot. But with all this other stuff, you mentioned Toro. Where did all these people go? Miguel Vargas, Encarnacion Strand, even Spencer Horwitz is on my list. Spencer Steers, a lot of Spencers. I just think it's compared to some other positions, I just don't mind saving here at all.
It feels weird because this is normally the premium position, you know, spend the money, and we have those options for sure. Goldschmidt, I agree on. Olsen, love the Braves tonight, but a lot of ways to save at this position for sure.
Yeah. So part of the reason, I don't know, saving it first, like I really do like getting up to Ketel Marte. I mentioned I really do like Arizona, specifically the lefties. And he seems maybe overpriced compared to the first baseman, and maybe he is. But I think he stands out a little more. I'm good with Matt McClain, either stacking or just chasing a homer on his own. And then it kind of dies out in a hurry. Like I'm playing a little bit of like Polanco, Gorman, Clemens, and Lee, just for salary savings, but like those guys are not quite as exciting as the cheap stuff at first, which is why I'm leaning towards Marte second, cheap at first if I just have to choose one.
This position's tough today for sure. So you know I love me some Ketel Marte. I probably bring him up every time we do a show. So he's the guy if you're spending for sure. I mentioned Toro, FanDuel. You can use him at second base here, which I absolutely love. Just get another good bat at a tougher position. So definitely can take advantage of that. Ozzie Albies, another Brave. Probably going to name 5 or 6 Braves tonight. They are my favorite stack of the night. And you're right. Then it gets ugly. Not a whole lot I like here. I have a little Marcelo Mayer as part of Boston stacks. But outside of that, there's not a ton to love at this position. So it's mostly Toro where I can use him on FanDuel. If not, it's Kettle on the high end, Albies, and then a little bit of Mayer here at second. So I'll move us on. TJ's coming back.
Yeah, you got it right
great now. I bet he's feeling fantastic.
Oh yeah, 10 out of 10.
There you go. That's what we love. So third base, another position. There's not a ton of options I like, but I'll mention Toro again here. So if you want to get Goldschmidt, Toro, you can do that kind of combination on DraftKings. I think Austin Riley in a good spot against Blackburn, probably my favorite spend. And I think there's some decent value at this position. So Gavin Lux is cheap. I talked about Winans, but this is certainly a spot the Reds could put some runs on the board. So he's in play. And then Brooks Lee, you have that positional flexibility with him as well. And he could be sneaky. This is one of those spots where, I don't love Woo as much as everybody else. So I want a little bit of exposure to the bats. And he's up in the order today. So Brooks Lee, good value here at second and third as well.
All right. Cheese, how about you? Who do you like at third?
Yeah. Beer talking about Brooks Lee. It's just inspirational. I just want him to wax poetic about Brooks Lee for a while longer. Like, that's some glorious stuff. I love Austin Riley and Manny Machado. Really kind of two of my favorite plays on the slate for being more of a mid-tier salary. So while I do like the cheap stuff, this to me is a spend up for those two guys, and feel free to play Suarez in there as well. So I'm mostly playing Lee at second and Toro and Vargas and Encarnacion Strand at first. Like, all those guys are third base as well. But pretty much I'm Riley and Machado, and then using those cheap guys where they fit at the other positions.
All right, take us a short.
So I guess Ellie is probably pretty chalky. And I think it's pretty acceptable chalk. I like him a lot. But I like Neto and Abrams a pretty good bit too. And they should be sneaky-ish. Even Dansby Swanson in the mid-tier is probably sneaky-ish. So I'm not really over the field on Ellie. If he's in fact, in the realm of 25% owned, I'm under on that, even though he's my favorite play. The cheap stuff here is pretty much just in stacks for me. You could do like Trevor Story or JP Crawford or something. But I'm not really going below Swanson as a one-off if I can help it. And most of my lineups have Ellie, Neto, or Abrams.
Spidey Bomb number 4 is Dansby Swanson. One of my favorite plays on the board tonight, plus 460 to hit a home run. And Spidey Bomb number 4, if we get up to 200 likes, I got a 5th one for you. So keep playing that. Keep hitting that like button. Let's get us up to 200 likes. We got over 1,500 people watching in total, almost 700 on YouTube. Should be easy to get us up to 200. So let's keep hitting that like button. Beer, how about you? Who do you like at short?
TJ, I gotta ask your obsession with Chicago here in the Spidey Bombs. I mean, is it like your second home away from home, or just feeling Chicago-y today?
So feeling Chicago today. The Cubs are my top stack. I have them the most, but it's honestly mostly because of the home run odds as to why I like betting these guys so much. Like, lefty's not ideal, but both Tucker and PCA hit lefties for a lot of power. It's great weather there. And then if a bullpen arm comes in and they get a matchup with a righty, well, that's even better. So just like I kind of feel like home run hitters like PCA and Tucker should never see 6 plus 650
Agreed.
and plus 525. And then for Swanson, it's just the individual matchup I like.
I mean, I love the calls. Just notice the Chicago theme there. So I agree.
Today. That's my team today.
The lefty on lefty has been an advantage for a long time. A lot of people just ignore it, but I can certainly use it in DFS as well. So shortstop, Cheese and I are kind of in lockstep here. I think Ellie's a fine spend. I don't know that I would prioritize him over some of the higher end outfielders we're going to talk about. or even Cal Raleigh at catcher, but I can certainly make a case for him. Ownership going to be up there, but nothing I would worry about. Neto is the guy the next level down I would look to. And I'm a little bit more optimistic than Cheese on some of the value. I do like Trevor Story in the heart of that lineup, JP Crawford hitting leadoff. So those would be the two guys that I think you can save some money on. Thought about Nick Allen, just doesn't do enough. So maybe as part of a wraparound Atlanta stack, you can utilize that salary, but not a one-off play at all. Stack, sure, save some money to get Acuna, but $2,200 a good price. But do love Ellie. Neto's probably my favorite at $5,100. Crawford and Story as my values.
All right, take us to the outfield.
Love, love, love Ronald Acuna Jr. tonight. Blackburn has really, really struggled with righties, and not just this season, last season as well. And Acuna been a little bit lucky. The BABIP is certainly up there against right-handed pitching, so the numbers are a little bit inflated, but he has been tearing the cover off the ball. We're talking power, speed, multi-hit games, 20-point DraftKings games. So this guy's absolutely been on fire. So he's my favorite bat on the slate. Right behind him is going to be Aaron Judge, who's just putting up ungodly numbers against lefties. So it is possible to get 2 6K bats in your lineup. And I'm talking Acuna, Judge, Raleigh. I think you can, I don't say easily, but you can certainly fit 2 of these stud bats and still feel pretty good about everything else. So those 2 head and shoulders above the rest. Moving down, I think Mike Trout, too cheap, like you mentioned. TJ Friedel is somebody I really like tonight. Marcelo Zuna in that same matchup against Blackburn. And then Roman Anthony. Most of you know who he is, but a very, very highly touted prospect. And we haven't seen a ton out of him, but there are some encouraging signs. BABIP has been very low. Barrel rate has been very high. Generally means there's good things coming here. Great matchup for him against a very vulnerable pitcher. Really like Roman Anthony tonight.
Some great calls. Ronald Acuna, my favorite play of the night as well. But actually coming in second highest owned in the outfield for me, right behind Mike Trout, just because he is really underpriced today. Cheese, who do you like in the outfield?
Yeah, same names. I'll agree with Roman Anthony, and I like Willie Abreu. Even though I'm playing a lot of Cachano, it's not because I think he's amazing, especially against lefties. So I'm good with those guys. Trout is probably my highest owned as well, and Taylor Ward might be second. Joe Adele could be third. I don't know. And yeah, Beer kind of hinted at this. You can play Judge, Acuna, and Raleigh and still make a decent lineup. It's kind of weird that that's even possible, but that seems like a good thing to do, even if it's obvious. Other things I like, O'Neal Cruz. The Pirates in general are pretty nonsense, but he's really good. And Chad Patrick still has a power-prone looking skill set. Like it's going to fall apart at some point. It's probably not going to fall apart against the Pirates, but as far as one-off power hunting, I like it. Stanton's cheap. Who knows? Stanton is like one of these guys that is probably kind of always hurt. And so maybe he should be the price that he is, or even cheaper. But I think we all know that he can still, whether he's kind of hurt or kind of old, like he can swing the bat harder than all 3 of us put together. And we can swing pretty hard, especially Beer.
Just watch the back, TJ. We don't want to swing it.
I'll bunt. It's all you guys on this one.
Yeah. On the very cheap stuff, I like Dominic Canzone a lot. Got a little Austin Slater in there. I think that's enough to mention. There's obviously a ton of outfielders.
All right, let's start taking some questions. We'll go to the YouTube chat, go to the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat. We're 20 likes away from Spidey Bomb 5. So YouTube, keep hitting that like button so we can get there. Plus, we'll get some home run calls from both of these guys. But before we do, it's a good time to remind you the MLB annual DFS option is only $425. However, we dropped the price of Combo Pro to mirror the MLB annual package. You might as well get more stuff for the same price, right? Plus, Combo Pro 6-month gives you full access to tools, projections, and for every sport except for NASCAR at a cheaper price than the monthly package. You'd actually save about 35% by choosing 6-month instead of monthly. That'll lead you right into NFL. It's the perfect time to do it. get yourself a great deal. Plus, you can check out our props and pick'em package for a discount. Props and pick'em package features daily props picks and fantasy pick'em selections from many of your favorite RotoGrinders experts. We're also knocking 50% off your first month when you sign up at the link down below. Home run calls, Beer. I'm throwing it to you first. Give me one up top, one in the middle, and one cheapie. Who's hitting a home run tonight?
I like Acuna as my cheaper. You can get him at plus 350 at BetMGM. So pretty good price for him. Again, righty on righty is not Blackburn's strength, and he's hit pretty well against righties. Mid-range, I got Roman Anthony earlier this morning at plus 560, but you can still get him at plus 520 on my last check. So he'll be my mid-range. And then Nolan Schanuel, plus 850. It seems he's definitely my favorite high-end dart. 8.5 to 1 seems like a pretty good price on him in this matchup.
I like it, Cheese. How about you? Who's hitting a homer tonight?
Cal Raleigh. Let's go. Yeah, I don't want to upset the people.
You can't say that.
I know. You can't say who's actually going to hit one. Let's go with Manny Machado. And Taylor Ward, and then a cheap little Cody Clemens.
All right, I like it. Bill T wants to know, Cheese, with the addition of Dean mushing him during Grinders Live, do you think PCA hits 2 home runs or 3 home runs today?
No, I don't.
Favorite single entry pitchers on DraftKings, Beer?
I mean, Ben Brown's my favorite, so I will say that. Again, I'm avoiding the higher end guys, so I'm staying away from Schwellenbach and Wu. So if you want to get risky, you go with a Winans, a Patrick, Kachanowicz are the 3 that I have the highest of outside of Ben Brown. So kind of staying in that mid to cheaper tier tonight.
Cheese, if you were playing DK Cash, who would be the 3 guys that you primarily want to build around in terms of hitters?
Okay. I would probably Judge, Acuna, Ellie.
All right. And then, geez, sorry, I got distracted by a weird headline that popped up there. One of the stars of Cobra Kai and the original Karate Kids just got kicked out of a convention for biting his co-star. Wild.
Interesting.
Is that frowned upon now at these conventions?
Yeah, you're not allowed to bite people, especially without asking first.
Which character would this be?
John Kreese.
Oh, okay.
That's. I mean, that he was probably just playing the role. That makes sense.
Yeah. He saw one of his co-stars. They said hello, and he bit them. That's wild. Anyways, baseball. Back to baseball. Blink-182 Rue says, I'm only playing one lineup tonight, but I am entering it in a large field contest. My lineup has mostly one-offs. None of my players are batting less than third. Does this seem like an okay strategy? Or, yeah, do you think that's an okay strategy? So essentially, Cheese, do you think you can go a bunch of one-offs tonight for a large field tournament? I feel like that may be more of a cash strategy.
If you're playing one lineup in a large field tournament, I think that's totally fine. Like, your chances of winning one lineup in a large field with anything are like very close to 0. But that at least gives you a different build than everything you're playing against. So yeah, I think it's fine.
All right, switching over to the YouTube chat. Beer, you want Ketel Marte or Ellie Dela Cruz for utility on FanDuel?
I will say Ellie. There's a few more options I like at second compared with shortstop. So give me Ellie, but both in play.
All right. Cheese, Keith wants to know, how crazy am I to lock Miguel Vargas in my 20 lineups?
I don't think you should ever lock any hitter in 20 lineups ever for any reason. Unless it's a one game.
I did one time, and it worked really, really well, even though it was a terrible idea because the guy ended up getting pinch hit for. But it was when Jock Peterson was still on the Dodgers and he returned from injury.
And it was $200. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't 2K.
Yeah.
He was 200. It was 200.
Oh, he's 200. You're right. You're right. And so I hit the luck button there, and I'm pretty sure
that
he hit a home
doesn't
run in his
count.
first at bat, then got pinch hit for in his third.
Yes, that was a truly once in a lifetime pricing mistake.
Yeah. I think I also
the minimum salary. In case people don't remember that night, minimum salary is $2,000. Jock Peterson was $200.
I think I also I think I also got the good end of playing Chris Davis when he was like $200 on FanDuel.
That guy was,
and I did it the day he actually got those 2 hits.
I missed that guy. Yeah.
Beer, if you're playing a Cub stack, which of the 4 outfielders are you leaving off?
Which of the 4? I mean, I'm playing Tucker.
Hap, PCA, Tucker.
I would say Hap, but salary is probably going to make you take one of the other ones off. So I would probably leave PCA off in that sense. If you can fit them all, great. I think Suzuki might be my favorite of the bunch, so I'm definitely taking him. Hap, if you need the salary, sure, but he's the easy answer. Salary, it's PCA.
FanDuel tournament, Ozuna or Stanton, Cheese?
2 people who probably are both just hurt. I would take Stanton.
DK Cash, Beer, you want Stanton or Roman Anthony?
Roman Anthony.
DK large field tournament. What do you think about who are your favorite Brewers and Mariners, Cheese? So obviously we got Cal Raleigh, but if you were to pick a second Mariner and then give me 2 Brewers who you would want to include in your stack.
Yeah, so it's a totally different thing. The Brewers are that team that I do not care which Brewers I have. I love the stack. I quite literally do not care which Brewers I have. With the Mariners, I very much care who I have. It's Raleigh 1, and then Polanco, Rayleigh, Canzone. I can't pick a Brewer. I don't care which ones I play.
Few more questions left. We are getting low. I do want to give one more call, though. Get all your questions in for DFS tonight's dinner, whatever, what have you. If we run out, I am going to bounce us out of here a little bit early because I'm in a lot of pain. But as long as we have questions, I will battle through it. Beer, for FanDuel, somebody's playing JT Money. He's playing 3 lineups. He wants 3 different pitchers for those 3 lineups. Who are your top 3?
I will say Ben Brown. I would probably, even though I don't like them, I would probably include Schwellenbach in one of those lineups. And I'll say Chad Patrick. You're getting a nice discount on FanDuel at $7,900.
Love those 3. I think those would be the 3 I'd go with as well. FanDuel cash pitcher, Cheese. You going Woo or Schwellenbach?
I would go Schwellenbach. I think more people will go Woo, but I would go Schwellenbach.
FanDuel GPP, last piece, Beer, Ellie or Cal Raleigh?
That's a hell of a last piece. Wow. I'm going to go Cal Raleigh.
Cheese, what do you think about Winans, the Yankees pitcher, for a DK single entry GPP?
He's not personally in my single entry pool. I mean, he's fine. Like, we're just throwing darts at a who knows. It's fine. I prefer Kachanowicz, but it's basically the same nonsense with the same risk.
Alexander the Don wants a recap of your home run picks, Beer. Who was it? It was Acuna, Shanuel, and who was the third?
Yep, Acuna. Roman Anthony is kind of the middle ground at plus 500, and Shanuel is plus 850 the last time I checked.
Thoughts on a full Chicago stack tonight, Cheese? They want to play White Sox and they want to play Cubs.
They should be asking TJ with his Chicago love.
Yeah.
Well, we do know Cheese from the last show was big on his White Sox, and they came through.
Yeah, I like both teams. Yeah, and the White Sox are one of the only teams you can play to fit the Cubs. So, yeah, I'm totally on board with all the Chicagos.
Would be even more exciting if the Cubs were also playing in Chicago today, but it is nice weather still in St. Louis. Beer, if you're playing a Yankee stack, would you play Stanton, Dominguez, or both?
I mean, Stanton for sure. Dominguez can be a creative wraparound stack. That being said, he has not hit lefties well at all. And Lodolo does not give up. I saw a question about Chisholm as well. Lodolo just doesn't give up a ton of power to lefties. So I would easily prefer Stanton there. Dominguez, again, is that when you want to get different, you can use the 9-hitter and wrap it around, but Stanton over Dominguez easily. I don't think you need to include Dominguez.
All right, Cheese. What would you go with, Seiya Suzuki or Juan Soto for a DK large field tournament?
Suzuki.
All right. Best second baseman for a FanDuel GPP besides Ketel Marte, Beer?
Abraham Toro. Use that second base eligibility there.
All right. 3 FanDuel GPPs, 3 different pitchers. We got that one. It was Chad Patrick, Spencer Schwellenbach, and Ben Brown. Cheese, Manny Machado and Vargas, or Riley and Taylor Ward, FanDuel GPP?
I love all 4 of them. I would do Riley Ward out of that group.
All right. I think that'll do it. We have answered all of the questions. Last round, get your questions in if you have not yet. Oh, here's one that I missed. Better one-off at second base, Beer. You want Polanco or Luis Garcia?
Polanco.
All right, Cheese, if you don't mind, maybe give us a quick recap of your top stacks and top pitchers.
So, I mean, theoretically, Schwellenbach and Wu are the top pitchers, but in tournaments, I'm underweight on them and prefer to spend up on bats. Ben Brown is my preferred option, followed closely by Chad Patrick. And feel free to play Eduardo Rodriguez or Bailey Ober, but I prefer Brown and Patrick. And then I'm playing Kachanowicz as the cheap guy. Feel free to do Alan Winans in there. And that's it. It's really a spread it out slate on both sides. Like, I don't have a super firm take, and even less so on the stacks. I mean, I like about 15 of them. I guess I would say Arizona first, maybe Atlanta second. I think we all like the Angels. But there's a ton to like.
Another Winans questions. Any love for Winans? No love, but yes, that he's viable. He's viable as a cheap pitcher with potential upside. Don't feel confident, but I think we're all okay with getting him into a lineup.
I think he's intriguing. It's risky for sure. You know, it's again a high total game, hot weather, good hitters ballpark. He has shown good strikeout upside, and Cincinnati can strike out. They're also a team that can put 7-8 runs on the board. So cash games, I would look a different direction. Tournaments, I think the fear of the unknown, like we talked about earlier, makes him very intriguing. Just know the risk.
J3 says he has 1,300 left over, and he's playing Walker Buehler and Ben Brown as his pitchers. Should he adjust? Yes, absolutely. You should take that extra salary, get Walker the Buehler the hell out of there, and switch it to Chad Patrick. Pick one, Cheese, Aaron Judge, Kyle Tucker, PCA. I mean, as much as I love my Spidey bombs, that's Aaron Judge there, right?
Yeah.
Cheese, favorite DK contrarian cheap stack?
I mean, every stack on the slate is contrarian. It depends what cheap means. I mean, I guess I'm just going to say Angels.
Cheese, I know you love the Brewers today. Marie Donese is asking, though, where do you rank the Brewers and Reds for your stacks? Beer, where do you put those 2 teams tonight among your stack rankings? Sorry, I started that saying Cheese, but I meant to throw it to Beer.
Oh, that's mine. I know Cheese loves the Brewers, and I agree that it's a stack not many people are going to love, but they're great prices, and I don't mind the matchup there. Reds are very interesting. So both didn't crack my top 4, but they would be in, say, my top probably 8, if that makes sense.
I felt this way about the situation. I think it was Houston against the Angels the other night. Who is their young pitcher who shows good strikeout stuff that was just facing the Angels the other day? Was it Gordon? I feel like it wasn't Gordon. It might be
Colton Gordon or Brandon Walter.
Walter was the guy that I was thinking of, where I felt like I wrote it up in the expert survey. I want to play a ton of Brandon Walter, and I also want to play a ton of Angels on the other side, because I feel like he could strike out a ton and he could give up a ton of runs. That's sort of how I feel about Winans and the Reds. Like, if you're playing lots of lineups today, you should get some Winans and you should get some Reds, both sides of that game. Dean says Chris Davis with a K or Chris Davis with a C. Maybe early career Chris Davis with a C, end of career Chris Davis with a K.
Yeah. They ended up being almost the same. I mean, with the C was more extreme for sure. But
Chris Davis with a K is one of the most intriguing players ever if you just look at his stats, because he had like the exact same stats for like 7 years in a row. Like I think it was maybe like 3 or 4 years he had identical.
I think it was 247. I'm gonna go look right now. I'm pretty sure that was it.
Yeah. Beer, what do you think about Isaac Collins as a cheap play today?
I think he's a great cheap play. Swinging a good bat in a good spot, and he's been red hot of late, driving in a lot of runs. So I think he's a solid option for sure.
Yeah, 4 straight years of a 247 batting average.
That's
3 of them with 40 home runs.
Absolutely insane stuff. I love seeing things like that when numbers just align in a cool way in sports. It's always a lot of fun. But that seems like it'll do it. We have reached all of the questions. Still a couple minutes till lock, but we're going to give you a chance to build your lineups, get out of here a little early, maybe start making some dinner. And we will see you again tomorrow, everyone. On behalf of myself and Cheese and Beer, I am realizing that the credits have not downloaded yet, so I'm putting that in right now. Beer, remind us your favorite stacks and top pitchers really quick while I upload the credits.
Love the Braves and the Red Sox are probably my favorite 2 stacks. The Yankees certainly in play, and the Angels are your sneaky stack. I'll recap the home run calls: Acuna, Roman Anthony, and Nolan Schanuel. And pitchers, I really like Ben Brown tonight. Cheapies, Winans, and Kachanowicz.
All right, there we go. Cheese, who were your home run picks?
Was it Raleigh, Acuna, and Judge? I think it was Machado, Taylor Ward, and who was my cheap guy?
I'll remember. I remember. It's going to come to
Cody
me.
Clemens.
Yep,
Cody Clemens. Yeah.
I like that call.
All right, one more question, and then we will get out of here. Beer, you want FanDuel single entry, Ozuna or Trout?
Love Ozuna tonight, but I'm going to go with Trout here.
Yeah, that's one of those same ones as like when somebody asks PCA or Judge. As much as I love PCA, still got to go with Judge in that one. And that's kind of the same with the situation with Trout. All right, now the credits are uploaded. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We will see you again tomorrow. On behalf of myself, Cheese, and Beer,